I'm Rick Harp. This is your APTN News Brief for Wednesday, February 14th. The fallout continues over an MP's comments on the destruction of two First Nations water treatment plants in Saskatchewan. Uttered by Saskatoon Conservative Kevin Waugh in a House of Commons debate last week, he said arson was to blame, a claim he later walked back. But as Rachel May reports, one affected First Nation won't let go of Waugh's comments.
In my province of Saskatchewan, I've seen reserves burn down water treatment plants because this government has done little or nothing.
That's Kevin Waugh during a debate over Bill C-61, the First Nations Water Act, last week in Ottawa. Waugh is a Conservative MP from Saskatoon.
These water treatment plants need education, and they need people on reserve to operate the water treatment plants.
To have somebody come and see that behind their backs.
The comments did not sit well with Kimball Ironstar, water plant manager for Carry the Kettle Nakota Nation, one of the reserves Waugh was referring to.
Without even coming out to Carry the Kettle to see our facilities and to meet our water operators and understand the environment they work in and what they do, was a slap in the face to them, and they didn't feel so good about it.
When it comes to an apology, Ironstar says he hopes that Waugh takes the time to visit the reserves he spoke about and understand how they operate.
Until he comes out and meets our guys and sees the stuff, and maybe then he'll apologize. It's going to be a heartfelt apology.
When it comes to moving on from the comments, Ironstar says Carry the Kettle is a resilient community.
Talk like this is going to affect us for maybe the day or two, but you know what? We're going to get up the next day and we're going to go back to work, and we're going to do the things we need to do to keep our community safe.
Carry the Kettle is not on the federal boil water advisory list. Waugh's office has since walked back his comments, stating he wasn't familiar with the specific circumstances surrounding the fires. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
A Mi'kmaq fisher who's long fought for his people's right to catch lobster says his equipment's been vandalized and stolen. Yet as Angel Moore reports, that's despite the fact him becoming a commercial fisher who's complied with industry rules.
In the year 2000, Alexander MacDonald swinging a bat at a fisheries officer trying to board his boat. It was after the Marshall decision. The Supreme Court of Canada upheld Mi'kmaq treaty rights to fish. Mi'kmaq fishers took to the waters in southwestern Nova Scotia, but according to DFO, they were fishing out of season and without a license. Today, MacDonald fishes with a commercial license and follows the Department of Fisheries and Oceans regulations. However, he says he still faces backlash from non-Indigenous fishers.
Yeah, it's gotten worse. Marshall didn't do us any favor. It's gotten worse. These people, the non-natives, they don't want us in the water, period.
MacDonald and his crew would normally be fishing. Instead, he's making a complaint to RCMP. His lobster traps are on the wharf at the Shelburne Marine Terminal, and fisheries officers are inspecting what is left of MacDonald's missing traps. MacDonald says fishing during the commercial season is not safe.
We need our own season, and this is the reason. This is the reason. I'm 62 years old, and I've been at this a long time fishing, and it's never stopped.
Here we are doing the commercial season and we're still not being allowed or disregarded,
Crew member Joseph Brooks.
And being considered outsiders when we're Indigenous people to our own country, which is like the worst feeling.
MacDonald is a commercial fisherman and a captain since 1997. He leased a commercial license from his band for $60,000 and dropped his traps last November at the start of the season. MacDonald says the first week his traps started to go missing, and last December his boat was set adrift and washed ashore, causing over $60,000 in damages.
A season for a reason is bullshit. It's wrong. It's for them to say that and then complain, we're not fishing this season, but when we try to fish this season, then they take our gear.
After losing about $200,000 in lost catch and about 500 traps, MacDonald and his crew pulled his traps off the coast of Shelburne, about 200 kilometers southwest of Halifax.
I've been debating this with myself for weeks. Should I keep going? Should I quit? And then when we lost 12 more traps, I was like, I got to get out. I I can't lose any more. It's just too costly. And I use my day school money that I got from day school and being abused, and now I feel like I'm being abused here.
Nova Scotia RCMP say an investigation into McDonald's allegations is ongoing. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans did not respond to an interview request by Airtime. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Dubuktuk, also known as Halifax.
A proposed mine in southeast Yukon is at the center of a legal battle. Last month, the territory's Supreme Court ruled the federal and Yukon governments have so far mostly upheld their duty to consult with the Kaska Nation on the mine. The Kaska seriously disagree. Sarah Connors has more.
The Ross River Dene Council is appealing a recent court decision on the proposed Kutsakaya mine on behalf of the Kaska Nation. In their notice to the Yukon Court of Appeal, the First Nation asked that last month's ruling be set aside, as well as 3 other main requirements. 1. The 2022 decision allowing the mine to advance to the next stage in the approval process be quashed. 2. The governments to complete more meaningful and deeper consultation with the Kaska about the project. And 3. For the governments to reevaluate its decision to approve the mine or put that decision before the Yukon Environmental and Socioeconomic Assessment Board for a panel review. A panel review is the highest level of environmental review in the Yukon. Only one other proposed project, the Casino Mine, was ever sent for a panel review. That review still hasn't happened yet. As of Thursday, no responses to the appeal have been filed. A hearing date has not yet been set. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
And finally, there aren't a ton of accessible dine-in restaurants in the Western Arctic, so it was cause for excitement when a once closed Inuvik spot reopened its doors, this time with new Inuvialuit owners. And as Carly Schogner tells us, that's also meant something special on the menu, country foods.
Muskox is super healthy, packed with vitamins and proteins and all sorts of nutrients.
That's Inuvialuit cook Joel Amos, for the first time being able to cook and sell muskox, wild game from the Arctic Beaufort Sea region.
I grew up in Sax Harbor for the first 10 years of my life, so I'm very accustomed to eating muskox. It's sort of like beef in the fact that it has marbling. I'm glad they have it a part of the menu. It's very interesting because it's the only place that actually has muskox on the menu.
He's the new kitchen manager at the Inuvik Inuvialuit-owned restaurant Mamaktuk, or which means delicious, in Inuktitut and Inuvialuktun.
Traditional food on our menu? It's kind of like revolutionary.
17-year-old waitress Brooklyn Bodnar says she's found unexpected purpose in the new opportunity to serve country food.
We have people come in like every day, new faces. They're asking questions about our culture. They're asking how it's hunted, where it's hunted. They're finding out new information, which is lovely.
This has been made possible from years of negotiations with the federal and territorial government and the Inuvialuit-run country food processing plant down the road. Director Brian Wade says while up until now they could only trade and sell to fellow Inuvialuit, they now have the ability to sell some country food to everyone.
In the IFA, we're able to barter or trade with each other. Now, reading the regulations and working with the GNWT, we're able to create a retail component to this.
The second modern comprehensive land claim, the Inuvialuit Final Agreement, signed in 1984, gives the Inuvialuit the lead in land and wildlife management, including tracking wildlife populations.
This plant was designed partially to kind of alleviate that need to rely on southern markets and southern stores to feed ourselves. In addition, it also provides a traditional economy for people who have mastered the skills throughout their life to be able to harvest, to be able to fish, process wild game. So every month we do our local callouts to the 6 ISR communities. The harvesters go out and get it, and then we logistically get it back here into the freezer, and this is where it waits to get processed. That's a dehydrator. Here's the smoker. Every 6 months, we distribute these boxes out to all 6 communities and all the households. But it's also our stock that we could provide to the restaurant at any given time, or any other programming that requires country food.
In addition to muskox, they are helping the restaurant introduce reindeer, which the Inuvialuit took ownership of the herd in 2021.
And we're just trying to introduce the fish into the restaurant. The char right now is locally sourced, but it's not from our region. We get it out of Cambridge Bay, the Arctic char in our region. Their numbers are not strong. So we don't want to put any pressure on the communities to kind of export their resources when they don't have enough to fulfill their own quotas within their community.
At Mamuktuk on opening night, Farah Abdul says she believes it's what the community needs.
The variety is great, inclusive. It includes everyone. Gluten-free, vegetarian and vegan options. The local, food I think is amazing.
Amos says access to locally harvested food helps to cut costs in Indigenous homes. To see country food now accessible for everyone, he says he's excited to see greater Indigenous economy.
A lot of people drive up here in the summer. Tourists are everywhere. And I'm excited for them to try muskox. I want every one of them to stop into Mamuktuk to try our muskox bolognese and our muskox empanada and the reindeer tongue.
In the meantime, the Inuvialuit are continuing to negotiate with governments to get more local options on the menu and in other places. Carly Shogner, APTN National News, Inuvik.
And that's your APTN News Brief for Wednesday, February 14th. I'm Rick Harp.